Hello and welcome to Cricket on Air, a show that goes beyond cricket news and analysis and brings cricket closer to real life. Once again, we are your three hosts, Deepika, Himanshu and Shri, bringing you another interesting story from the world of cricket. Though, this time, the story is with a twist.
Yep, for the first time in the show's history, we have a cricketing story of a cricketer that will be told by the cricketer himself. How cool is that?
Doston, we also have a special offer for our listeners today. A free World Cup Team India t-shirt sponsored by Reebok. The fine print in not so fine print. All you have to do is go like our Facebook fan page at facebook.com/cricketonair and you get a chance to win the World Cup India Team t-shirt. The lucky winner of this first contest will be announced in our March 19th show airing. And now it's time to dive into our cracking up segment.
Friends, I'm a bit obsessed with cricketing fielding positions today. कभी-कभी ये सारी उल्टी सीधी fielding positions मेरे दिमाग का दही कर देती हैं. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions to Deepika and hopefully she'll have some answers for me. Here goes. What do you make of the fielding position silly point, Deepika? ये term कहाँ से आई?
यार हिमांशु, when a fielder is standing at silly point, तुमने देखा है कि फील्डर बैट्समैन के कितने पास खड़ा होता है? I wouldn't exactly call that smart, would you?
I should have known. That doesn't really help though, Deepika. But here's another one for you. I understand 12th man. That is, since the teams comprise of 11 players, the extra man is called the 12th man. ये साला third man कहाँ से आया?
I'm enjoying seeing you sweat on these cricketing terms, Himanshu. Third man माने कि तीसरा आदमी. The significance of number 3 is supposed to be catastrophic for the batting team. जैसे कि 3 तिगाड़ा, काम बिगाड़ा और तीसरी आंख. इसीलिए तीसरा आदमी और third man.
ओह, अब मेरा दिमाग का दही से रायता बन गया है. Thanks, Deepika.
Well, I'm glad I was able to help Himanshu. ओ यार, ये श्री कहाँ है आज?
श्री कौन? ओह, अपना श्री. वो आज शो ऑफ करने में बिजी है.
शो ऑफ कैसे?
ओए श्री, गेट ऑन द एयर मैन और अपने कॉलर नीचे रखना.
Collar ऊपर हो या नीचे, Himanshu, the fact remains that I got a chance to talk to an international cricketer. Yes, that's right, friends. It was a great pleasure to talk to none other than Colin Miller. Colin is a former Australian Test cricketer. He was a one-of-his-kind bowler, a fast bowler as well as an off-spinner. Colin was awarded the Test Cricketer of the Year award in 2001 when the Australian team had some great bowlers. He's also popularly known as Funky Miller. We'll soon find out stories behind all of this from Colin himself. Thanks a lot for being with us, Colin. Really appreciate you taking some time off to talk to us today. Let me begin by asking you this. How was it like growing up in Australia playing cricket?
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be with you today. Like Indians and Australians, we grew up idolising the cricketers that play for their countries above us, and it was the same for me as a young kid. I idolised all the Australian cricketers. I watched cricket every day I could on television. I was in the backyard. I have an older brother, so I just wanted to play cricket. You know, it's just one of those things that you do in Australia. Every kid wants to grow up and hopes one day he can play for his country.
Coming from India, I realize cricket is like, it's a passion and it...
Yeah, I mean, for people that haven't been to India and seen how fanatical the Indian kids are, and I've been lucky enough to tour India with the Australian team, and we spent one afternoon, Adam Gilchrist and myself, being given around by the local media and meeting all the kids in the parks playing, and I mean, we came across one park and there must have been 100 pitches rolled out on the field, and there was people playing everywhere. There was thousands of kids out there playing with their dads and their brothers and their sisters, and it's almost like a religion in our two countries.
So I believe you started off in Melbourne, and then slowly but surely you made your way through the ranks, and then you started playing cricket at the first class level sometime around 1985, I believe?
Yeah, I grew up in Melbourne with mum and dad and my older brother, and I have a younger sister. And my dad was actually my junior coach from under 12 cricket, then under 14 cricket, and just at our junior club. And then for under 16s, which is our last year of junior cricket in Australia, I moved to what we call a district club, which was Footscray Cricket Club. And that's where you've got to go if you want to start playing senior cricket at a more advanced level. And my dad was coach there as well. So my dad was really important to me as far as my cricket career went. And then I was lucky enough at the age of 21. I know I'm 47 now. I'm getting old, but it seems so long ago. But I played my first game for Victoria at the MCG, and
You started playing first-class cricket, and you were primarily a medium-pace bowler. And at one point in time, you just decided that I have to do something else, and then you started bowling spin as well.
I opened the bowling all my life. Right, the first game for Victoria, I was considered a fast medium bowler, I suppose. Probably so I moved down to Tasmania.
Okay.
So I still had this dream of one day hoping to go on and playing for Australia, and to play for Australia you've got to be playing first class cricket. So to make the move, I did it again, and then it was probably into my fourth year. I spent I think 9 years or down in Tasmania. About the fourth year in, I was about 34 years of age and wasn't really going anywhere. I was getting plenty of wickets, but wasn't being looked at as anything to go to the next level. And David Boone was my captain in Tasmania, and we had young Ricky Ponting playing there as well, and Michael Divenuto, and with some fantastic players playing there. But we didn't have a spinner.
Okay.
And I said to David Boone one day, look, I think next year I can bowl spin and medium pace for us and help break up our bowling attack. And after he stopped laughing for a while, he said, look, if you go away from the pre-season and you practice and come back and bowl it in a few practice games, and we'll see how you go. And the rest is history. I got David Boone out twice in a couple of pre-season games, and then the first game of the season he let me bowl, and I got a wicket bowling in the first over. And 6 months later, I think that year I got 69 wickets in first-class cricket in Australia, which is an Australian record, most wickets in one season.
Awesome.
And then got to play in the first game for Australia as a 34-year-old.
Welcome back, friends. We have former Australian cricketer Colin Miller on our show today. So, as you pointed out, international cricket happened. You started playing international cricket at 34. So, any interesting incidents while playing for Australia? Any interesting funny incidences that you would like to share with our listeners?
No, it's just an amazing lifestyle, and as I said, you dream of doing it, and really what you're doing is you're playing a game for a living. So you're getting paid to do something that you love.
Right.
And when you're playing international cricket, you're traveling around the world with 15 or 16 of your best friends. So
right.
It's an awesome experience. So obviously for us playing the Sydney Test, the New Year's Test is always a big one as well, and that's when our Prime Minister will come into the rooms after the game and
right.
sit down and have a beer with you. And my first Sydney Test was when I dyed my hair blue.
Right.
And John Howard was the Prime Minister of Australia at the time, and we walk into the rooms, and there had been a cartoon in the newspaper that week. There was an election coming up, and there was John Howard with his advisor saying how we're going to win this election, and then the caption was, why don't we dye your hair like funkies? And then so I actually cut it out, and I got John Howard to sign it for me. And those things are great. I love telling that story because you don't get to meet people of that caliber all the time. And
awesome. That must have been something. Welcome back to Cricket on Air, friends. I am Shri, and we are talking to former Australian cricketer Colin Miller. So what was this about the hair color? There was blue, then I remember there was red, pink. What was this about?
Red, yellow, pink, green, orange.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's done for fun, really.
Okay.
It went back a few years previously when I was playing an Australia A tour. We were in Scotland.
Okay.
And we had Justin Gillespie was on that tour as well. And I think he might have played 1 or 2 games for Australia, but he was not really in the team yet as a regular player. And he had a bet with Dean Hills. They had a bet, and Dean was a very straight-laced, worked in the bank, the white shirt and the black tie and the little black suit.
Okay.
Jason's a little bit different, a bit like me, and they'd had a bet that they would dye their hair blonde if one of them lost the bet. And I forget who it was who lost the bet, but so Jason went to dye his hair blonde. I had to play for Australia, and it's a New Year's Test. It was the Australian Federation celebration.
Okay.
And blue just seemed a good colour. And I didn't actually realise I was doing the Blue Federation blue, but I just dyed it blue because the hairdresser I called into my hotel room that night just happened to bring blue with her.
Oh,
It could have been purple or anything, but
I know Courtney Walsh really had a great time that day when he came into bat in the morning. He saw you opening the bowling with blue hair, and
we actually bowled the first day. We had the West Indies, I think, 9 down overnight.
Right.
And I had just normal colour hair the first day of the game, so I didn't get it dyed until the first night after the first day's play. And I told Steve Waugh I was going to do it. I told Steve Bernard, the team manager, I was going to do it, but none of the other boys in our team knew what was going on. And in the morning when I had my hair blue, it was electric blue. Even I was a bit surprised how blue it looked.
Yeah, it was blue.
And I sort of hid it from the guys, and I didn't do anything up that morning. And I stayed in the change rooms and had a massage. And then Steve Ward came with the boys and said, right, we'll have the fast bowlers. We'll start today. We get this one wicket, and then we can start batting.
Okay.
And I just put my hand up to Steve and said, look, I have to bowl the first over. And he said, why? I said, look, well, I dyed my hair blue just for this occasion. And Steve changed the plans of the team and said, okay, Funky, you've done the hard yard. You can bowl the first over. So when Courtney Ross took strike and I took my hat off,
right.
If you see the video, see Courtney Ross backs away and just starts laughing. And then it was just one of those funny things that goes on.
I remember you took the wicket, and I think Bill Lawrie was on the microphone, and he said this must be the first wicket ever in the history of cricket that was taken by a bowler with blue hair.
Yeah, that was Michael Holding.
Oh, it was Michael
Holding. Yeah, Michael Holding commentating it, and I got this sent to me just recently by another person on Facebook, and and Michael Holding says, I'm reliably informed by our statistician this is the first wicket taken in Test matches by a blue-haired bowler.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome back to Cricket on Air. We are in conversation with former Australian cricketer Colin Miller. The World Cup is happening. We can't let you go without letting us know what your predictions are for this World Cup.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? That Ireland beating England is just an unbelievable result.
Okay.
But I thought before the tournament started, there's four powerhouses. You have to pick the two subcontinent powerhouses in Pakistan and India. I think purely because where the tournament's being held. Okay. I've always thought Pakistan were one of the best teams in the world.
Right.
Just because of the pure excitement of their players. If they can get it all together in one day,
right.
I think they're one of the best teams in the world. But unfortunately, they have a bit of turmoil within their team, so it's not always the best result they get.
Right.
India have to be one of the favourites with the games being played in the subcontinent. Sachin Tendulkar's had a rebirth in the last 2 years. He's been in incredible form. And then the other two teams I really like Australia, just purely because of their record in the World Cup.
Exactly.
They're not the team they were in the past, but I think they have the experience of winning. And then I like South Africa as well. I think they got good depth in their batting and their bowling. So for me, they're the four teams I think that will advance through the stages and play out through the semi-finals. If you had to pick one winner or one prediction for the winner of the World Cup, what would that be? Well, I have to say Australia, don't I? But look, if India can play well,
okay,
and with their fast bowlers, because I don't think all the wickets are going to be spin friendly, like it might have been 25, 30 years ago in the subcontinent. Some of these wickets now in India and around that region are bouncing. So if India's fast bowlers can get early breakthroughs, I don't think their batting's any problem. They've got tremendous batting, and there's one I want to point out, Virat Kohli. I was lucky enough to commentate at the Under-19 World Championships a couple of years ago, and I saw him play there, and he was already a ready-made international cricketer 3 or 4 years ago, and he's just an exciting young player that India have now.
Awesome.
India keep seeming to pull these players out of nowhere. But I really like South Africa, having said that, I really like South Africa's bowling depth and their batting depth. So if I had to pick a team, I'll say India and South Africa to play in the final. Welcome back to Cricket on Air, friends. I am Shri, and we are talking to former Australian cricketer Colin Miller.
The newest sensation in cricket has been T20s and possibly the IPL. What is your take on them? Do you think they're good for the game?
I wish I was born 15 years later. I would love to have played 2020 cricket. I played a little bit of it in America. About 6 years ago, before it became international phenomenon. It's a game I think would have suited my style of bowling, be able to bowl medium pace and some spin, and I like to have a bit of a swing the bat at the tail end, towards the end of the innings. I think it's been a phenomenon. The only downside I see of it is that there are too many players, and it's happened in Australia already, who are retiring from first-class cricket. To concentrate purely on the 2020 cricket, and I understand why they're doing it, because that's where they make their money these days, is in the T20s. But I'm old enough to be a traditionalist, and I like the 4-day game and the 5-day game, and I still think that's pure cricket. But for pure excitement value, T20s just been a phenomenon, and I think it's here to stay forever.
I also think you would have been a great T20 player. I mean, with maybe coloured hair and the personality that you have, I'm sure you would have just been a sensation.
Imagine the different colours I could have had every night.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome back, friends. We have former Australian cricketer Colin Miller on our show today. Life has to also be beyond cricket, and I hear one of the things that you do is charity. I hear that you're participating in Tour de Summerlin, where you're trying to raise money for families whose children have cancer. Could you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, well, on April the 30th is the actual day of the ride. It's an 80-mile ride around the hills of Summerlin. Unfortunately, Summerlin's a very hilly area.
Okay.
So it's been exhausting for us. My wife and I, Cindy's my wife, and we decided we're going to do this, raise some money for charity, and we're in a team of about 25 of us, and I think so far we have about $35,000.
Okay.
That's going to go to the charity. And this morning, just before I spoke to you, I just completed a 40-mile training ride through the hills, which is I'm getting stronger. It's going to be tough. 80 miles. I thought it's going to take me probably 5 or 6 hours, but it's all for a great cause. And of course, I'm living in the US now. I moved over here a couple of years ago.
Right.
Cindy and I got married 2.5 years ago. Cindy's an American girl, and we met in London a bit over 10 years ago when I was playing in the Ashes in London, and we kept in contact all those years, and I made the move to get married, and I moved to America, must be 2.5 years ago now. As I say, I've got other things. I'm in the process of putting together a golf company now, so I'll be taking hosted golf tours around the world and bringing them obviously here to Las Vegas.
Wow.
So that's something people can look out for on my Facebook page. There'll be information on that coming up very shortly.
So now that you stay in the United States, what is your take on cricket here in the US? Do you see it growing and becoming as big as it is in other parts of the world?
Cricket in America is at the crossroads, I think. There's been so much conflict at the administrative level. They really can't get things right here, and if they can get it right, particularly with the T20, that's a sport that Americans are going to love. It's a game that lasts for about 2 3/4 hours. It's like most of the sports here in the US. And if they just get some Americans playing, and what I mean by that, I don't mean first or second generation Indians or Pakistanis or Australians. We need purebred Americans to get playing the game. And I know it's played a lot of colleges in the US now, but you just know that most of those players playing from expat parents who have been brought up watching the game all their life as kids. So I know there's a lot of tournaments going on in America now. There's junior tournaments, there's college tournaments, there's East Coast, West Coast. Cricket's played all over the US, and the US is the second biggest cricket viewing audience in the world. I think there's something like 7 million people in the US watch cricket on a regular basis. But it's a sport that if they can get the administrative side of it right, I think in America it could be a huge sport.
Sure. Thanks a lot for your time.
I think what you guys are doing is awesome. I've listened to a couple of your shows, and it sounds like you're really having fun. So keep up the good work, and anytime you can spread the word of cricket around the world, it's a good thing.
Thank you so much, Colin. Thank you very, very much. It was really great talking to you. I'm sure all our listeners enjoyed it as well. Here's wishing you all the very best in all your future endeavors. Cheers.
And that, my friends, was Colin Miller. Colin's been a fantastic emissary of cricket, and we wish him the best of luck with all his future endeavors.
Seriously, Manju, आज तो श्री ने बहुत footage खाया है शो पे. Anyway, you and me will go to Vegas and spend some time with Colin Miller personally. और वहाँ जाके थोड़ा cricket भी खेलेंगे.
Count me in. वैसे श्री, I have to say one thing यार, उसकी coolness तेरे पे भी रब कर गई थोड़ी बहुत.
Yeah, it's about time, right?
Yeah. Anyway, did you get his Aussie accent?
Not yet, but might. Let me give it a try.
Okay, that was Shri trying to imitate an Aussie, and I know he's not really good at it, so please forgive him.
Anyway, that was a great interview, and I had a rocking time listening to it.
And we also have a special offer for our listeners today. A free World Cup Team India t-shirt sponsored by Reebok. The fine print and not so fine print. All you have to do is go and like us on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/cricketonair, and you get a chance to win the World Cup India team t-shirt. The lucky winner of this first contest will be announced in our March 19th show airing. Until next week, this is Himanshu, Deepika and Shri signing off.